make this fun. Everybody talk, give your opinions, no matter what it is, keep it going. Even if y'all guys love Trump, like Chico. You ready, April?
Yeah, we're running a promo.
So tell me what time.
Right.
I'm about to run a promo now.
And walked into a bar.
All right, so we are here live at Plates or Pilates restaurant. I'm sorry, it's spelled Plates though. And I'm here with a comedian, a teacher, an event manager, and Ex-Pimp. Ex-Pimp. Alright. So we're actually just gonna sit here. We're gonna actually have a discussion. And this discussion is actually gonna be just to kind of give your honest and true opinion on what it is that you think. And it's gonna be different. And you know, be as open and honest as possible. Probably keep the profanity at a limited, you know. All right.
So this is for TV?
This is for, yeah, we're live now. We're live on WPB Networks, WPB Media Network, so we're live right now. But I guess the first thing I want to kind of throw out to you. Lately we had all these bomb scares. I think there was a couple that were found today. So not really addressing the bomb scare, but actually addressing, like they were talking this morning on CNN, or a lot of the media's outlets, about the tone in which our current president is taking right now. However, the White House is coming back and saying, well, no, you know, I think he's, you know, doing this, that, but his tweets and everything are different. So tell me your take on what it is that you think, not really addressing as far as what his tone is, but how we as a community, we as a nation can work outside of basically the White House.
Just starting off real deep, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, well, the White House, of course, is saying that it's the media. But I think what happens is, with the things that he says, the people that he associates himself with, basically white supremacists, they feel emboldened to do these type of things. Because if it comes from the top down, then it's okay. It's almost like a wink-wink type of situation. And so I definitely do feel that the things that they say, the people that they've associated themselves with, I do think that they're responsible for a lot of the things that happen. Not solely responsible, but I do think it does play a role.
So do you think the media plays a major role in some of the things that are going on, or do you think it's just the climate that we're in now?
I feel like the media is just doing their job. You know, oftentimes we want to pin the media to be the bad guy because it seems like they're always portraying the negativity or, you know, one-sided depending on what network it is or something like that. But I think in reality, the media is doing its job, which is informing the people of things that sometimes we may not be privy to if the media was not present. Piggybacking on what you said, I think that the seated president has kind of given the green light now to everything that has always been there. It's always been, let's not try to pretend that racism is not existing there, but I now feel, as you said, they feel more empowered, they feel more entitled, they feel more, you know.
Because he's supported by white
exactly,
supremacists.
that, oh, this is the way we're going now.
And these alt-right groups.
The hoods are off.
And he uses a lot of their talking points, and they know that. I also think, even though I don't know if any of us are fans of Trump, that just because he says the media is responsible, that doesn't mean they're not, because they also play a role too. Because a lot of times the media does things with a racist slant. We all know if a black girl disappears, they don't really report it. Blonde hair, blue eyed, then of course it's national news. They play a role in the racism as well. Now, I think that they're responsible for a different reason than what he's saying, but they're definitely responsible too by what they report on. Like, 2 people got shot when the guy tried to go in the church. That didn't really get reported on, but of course when he shot up a synagogue, then that was the major story.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I mean, I think Trump basically, like, he did definitely give it a green light to make it okay to basically, for people to feel the way they feel, say what they want to say, do what they want to do, and didn't think twice about it. When, to be honest with you, I think some of the presidents before Barack felt the same way he felt, but just ain't come straight out with it. They just ain't want to say it.
Right. I mean, and that's the other thing that I find interesting is that the stuff that he's saying is not news.
Right.
What is the fact that he's saying it out loud. And I think even a lot of the Republican Party don't like him for that because it's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
Airing our dirty laundry.
exactly.
But that's because he's not a typical politician. He's not operating as a politician.
No, he's definitely broken all of the politics.
Yeah.
But he speaks to the people who were upset about having a black president. He speaks for the people who feel like they're losing their rightful place in the country. He speaks to a lot of the angry white males who feel like affirmative action and women and left-wing liberals are basically taking over the country. And so these guys are angry because manufacturing is gone, their jobs are missing, they don't really have that, they don't feel like the country is there. So that's why he came out with the slogan, Take Back America. But take back America from what? Like, were we under some type of foreign occupation? And so it always boggles the mind when white men complain that they're not getting a fair shake in a country that was basically designed for them to succeed.
I think it's like, for me to say that the media is doing its job is asking me to believe that most of the media that people consume is not state-sponsored propaganda. And I believe that most of the media that people consume is state-sponsored propaganda, whether or not it's Democrat or Republican. And I believe that it's always, when it's one of those larger networks, it is laced with a hidden motive that comes from either side. And I think that the Democrats do it just as much as the Republicans do it. And I think it underlines why we need to have independent and honor and respect independent media, because they are doing those things that are separate. I think they both manipulate people. So I don't think Trump is wrong in saying that there's fake news, but I think he lacks the eye of self-reflection within that. Like, both sides are fake news for the most part, and they both are using the media as a tool to motivate a public or sway a public this way or that way, right? Just like if you look at the Black Lives Matter movement, it didn't gain traction within the Democratic or the left until it became popular, right? Like, it was definitely something like All Lives Matter came out first until they had a good sense that it actually had traction. And then they started using it as part of their own state-sponsored propaganda to motivate their own political motives.
Right, and that's a good point. But the only problem I have, well, not the only problem, but with Trump, is that when the media reports on the things that he's doing, then it's fake news. When they report on his uncomfortable relationship with Russia, which is basically a foreign enemy, his business dealings in foreign countries, him leveraging the White House for his own personal profit, then it's fake news. And his base, the people who want to believe that narrative, they believe it. And he doesn't really speak to anyone else except his base. Because these are a group of people who, no matter what he does, what he says, they are so down with him that they just feel like he's the victim. And his narcissistic personality definitely plays into it.
But the opposite happens when you have people who believe that one side is wrong. They make the assumption that the other side is right. And it's not.
Right.
And that's why I made that point. Like, the media, they have an axe to bear too.
It's true. Everyone has their own objectives. But like I said, going back to my original statement, is that the media is doing what it's designed to do, which is inform people or give them information or give them insight.
Or misinform,
whoever's driving the vehicle. But a lot of the things that we are privy to, we would not be if it wasn't for someone informing or misinforming. So.
I definitely understand how things is going. I just one thing I don't understand is what's up with Kanye and him though? Yo? I just don't get that though, because Kanye is like, yo, he is like.
How could you not get that?
He's like he on a whole nother page.
Do you think it's more of a mental illness though?
No, I think Kanye doing this because he feels something.
I do think mental illness maybe have a part in it because a lot of the times he's very thoughtful. At times he's very bright. A lot of the things that he says can make a great deal of sense. And then he'll go. It's like you can see the bipolar aspect to his personality. Where he's on the high, then he's on the low. He can say something real profound, and then he can say something like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
And unfortunately, he is kind of in the same position that Trump is. You have this platform, so he's not the only Black American running around doing or saying these type of things, but because he's Kanye, you know, he has a bigger platform, a huge following, so everything that he does is newsworthy, and I think some of it plays into that attention-seeking behavior as well. Like, let's be honest, I personally feel he's never properly reached the loss of his moral compass, which I feel like was his mother. And without having somebody that's checking you, you have a tendency to go rogue. And who really is in Kanye's circle that's checking him?
Right.
It's more people getting a check from him than people actually checking him.
And I also think that the beef that he had with President Obama plays a lot in what's going on now with the Hillary. What was it? Not Hillary. I was about to say Hillary Swank, but Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
When
he upstaged her,
and
then they had Obama on an interview, and he didn't know his mic was hot, and he said that Kanye was an asshole, and so him, of course, him having thin skin, he didn't like that, and so I think him cozying up to Trump is almost like, you ever been at work and somebody don't like you, and then like it's another coworker beside you, and they'll go out of their way to speak to the other coworker just to emphasize the fact that they're not talking to you. It's not that they're so tight with the coworker, but they want to emphasize that I don't like this person. And I think some of that is going on.
Why do you think someone with so much influence and power has such a thin skin?
Because he's insecure at the end of the day. I still feel like he's that little boy.
I mean, a lot of powerful people are like that. I think that a lot of times that's what drives a lot of powerful people to be successful, because they always want to prove something, and in a way that's a good quality to have. But on the backside, like I really think Trump is a narcissist. I think he really has a mental disorder, because every time you ask him something, like he doesn't even understand how it makes him look. Like
the whole tweeting thing. Like, sir, what are you doing? Like every move, every time something happens, you jump on Twitter and you make. Like you're a president, you're a seated president for one of the most powerful countries in the world, and you're on social media venting like a little teenager.
Right, and whenever someone says something to him, he has to respond back. He always, and it's always, he never takes the high road. He gets a slam dunk like what happened in Charlottesville. Charlottesville was a slam dunk. He could have come out and said, hey, what these guys did wasn't right. But then he says he tries to remain neutral. How do you remain neutral with race?
You pick and choose when you
There were good people on both sides.
Other presidents, they got out in front of it, regardless of whether it was something that was good or whether it was bad. Like they took their position as the seated president and they made a statement, because at the end of the day, you have to calm the nation. You are who everyone turns to when everything's going left in the country. Kind of what happened with the whole situation with the uprising here in Baltimore. That was the biggest grief I think a lot of folks had with the then mayor, was the fact that they felt like she didn't jump fast enough. Right. She didn't calm the city that was
and Marilyn Mosby, on the other hand, basically did what she was supposed to do. She came out as an angry woman, saying, and so just having that passion about what happened. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going not that company line. Well, we have to see where the investigation goes, let the facts where they make. She came out like an angry black mama. Like, this boy was alive. When the police had him down, he's dead. Somebody need to answer for it. And sometimes that's all the people need to hear is that you care as well. And now I understand also when you're in a certain position, you can't always do that. Because again, you do have privy to things and you do understand that it's more than one side to the story. But sometimes you just gotta throw caution to the wind and actually speak from your heart, especially when you're representing people.
Yeah, if you're for the people.
I think it's like one of these things with him. It's a matter of how he perceives weakness. What is
You're talking about Trump now, right?
And people who identify with him, right? Like they like the way he is because they like how he presents power,
right?
And they don't perceive what he perceives as power as weakness. Like we identify it as insecurity, right? And other people who are insecure are aligning themselves to him because he is demonstrating what they believe as what is power.
The old John Wayne kind of narrative of what masculinity, what they think masculinity is like a Neanderthal. Men don't cry. You do what you want. You take what you want. You say what you want. And if people don't like it, you punch them in the mouth. And that's really not what masculinity is about. And I think even with the rap culture was like that for a long time. You say something about me, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth. I'm gonna screw your woman, and I take what I want. And so he's almost like a white rapper. And here's the other thing. A lot of the rappers, they won't admit it now, but they used to look up to Trump. The same way they used to use God in their songs,
because he was making money.
Yeah, he was the manifestation of success and being wealthy and being rich and doing things on a grand scale. And so now I think he kind of destroyed that legacy because now you add the racial component to it. People can't jive with that. Like people would accept you being a sexist. People would accept you being a Neanderthal. People would accept. But when you're a racist, then it's like,
And the president that is pushing that.
Right. And she made a good point. Those white males who are angry, they're blue collar men's men, guys who work with their hands and drink beers. But what they don't understand is that he doesn't represent you. He's the one who got rid of manufacturing to take the plant over to Mexico or wherever so he and his shareholders can make more money. I don't understand why they would think this guy is going to represent their cause.
You know what? I was in Chicago last week and I stood in front of the Trump building. It is ridiculous how huge that building is. Huge. It looks like a gun, honestly. The way that it's manufactured, it's nestled like right in the hub. It has the most beautiful view. And I was just sitting there looking. Of course, I took my picture. I won't, reveal what I was doing in the picture. But no. But it's just like, and it boggled my mind that the president of these United States has these buildings everywhere.
But again, it's covering up insecurity. It's like what dictators and tyrants did.
It's
you
like
see
the
big
Napoleon
life-size mural portraits of them,
exactly.
statues.
Yes. And I'm like, and I think about when
And
I
he
go to
probably
Vegas,
has a little
see
penis.
his hotels.
That's what men do when they have small
And that's what
penises.
it looks like, a huge
They got a
palace
big
in the
truck,
middle of Chicago.
fancy car, a big gigantic house to cover up the fact that they have small penises.
Okay, on that note. All right, so we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about Megyn Kelly. So don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.
The Queen's wind down. The Queen's wind down. The Queen's wind down. Me and my girls just winding down. Talking this and that while we're fixing each other's ground. The Queen's wind down. Me and my girls winding down. Me and my girls
Man, this shit look like an abandoned warehouse. Hello. April.
These white people show up.
Oh shit. Family just homes? Hey, what's up, baby? Get this mess out here. What you doing here, man? Yo, listen, I don't know, somebody told me to meet us here right now. We're supposed to be doing this new show, and it's supposed to be in this building, but it don't look safe. Yeah, I don't know, man. You know I'm a G. I had to call somebody and give them the address and let them know where I was going to be at in case some shit go down. They know this is the last place I was at.
Y'all ready?
Facebook. Hey, what's up? Hey, oh, shit. You was on a milk cart. Where the hell you been at?
I've been around. We gotta get this show from.
Somebody told me you was a district manager.
I'm fired too.
Is that true?
Shut up.
You was a regional buyer for Rolo. So go ahead and get the show, find out where this room at. Now I'm going to the thing. All right, come on, man. Let's get this shit over there. Because I think the quicker we get it down, the quicker we can leave.
So is it gonna be?
Alright, here we go.
And here's the other thing too.
Alright, hold on.
I know sometimes you guys want me to be funny, but I think what happens is a lot of times comics try to insert comedy where it shouldn't be because that's all they had to control.
No, I just want you to be you.
Yes.
As always.
When it's a joke, then I'll find it.
Alright, so before we get into a little bit, I just want to kind of give the audience a little bit of who you guys are. Because we kind of threw you guys together. So, Ronda, tell everybody who you are, what you do.
So, my name is Ronda. I'm one of Chico's girls. No.
You told me you was retired.
I have my own event management company servicing the DMV area. I work with a variety of clients. I also offer luxury concierge services, which consist of the plug. I'm not a pimp.
That sounds like you're a model.
No, I'm not. No, but if you are coming to enjoy the city and you want to know the place to stay, the place to celebrate, what you want car service, you want customized apparel. Like in a sense, I am the plug. That's what I've been called the most. I also manage individuals such as my 14-year-old daughter. Shout out to her. She's on tour right now with Kaya Alexis. Hello.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, pretty much it just kind of all rolls together. So that's why I say event management, because it's more than just being an event planner. It is from the beginning all the way to the end.
Can I ask her, how did she get into that?
I had always had a knack for planning birthday parties, baby showers, corporate events, meet and greets, and it just kind of evolved into when you find something that you love to do, you never work a day in your life. So that's where it came out. And then in 2014, I launched RSVP, which goes with parties. I've always been an RSVP, event management. So that's how it came about. It's just evolved into so many different things.
All right, Chico, I'm loving the glasses, but it tells a little bit about you.
Yeah, it goes with the cup.
Okay, I see the cup.
Everything is custom.
Okay, I got you.
But yeah, I'm Chico the Don. I'm a retired pimp. I've been, I've been, I got.
You can't be getting full benefit.
No, they don't need with no 401k to get out this game.
You're only getting about 50% of your pension.
But the perks.
Yeah, I mean, but I retired, man. I just get a game up for,
So you were really a pimp?
Across country.
Because I thought this was a gimmick.
No, cross country.
You ain't heard of the Don?
Yeah, heard about me?
Man, there's a lot of people named, I know a rapper named Chico the Don. No, Caddy the Don. That's what it is.
Yeah, Caddy the Don.
Chico the Don.
Yeah.
So are you originally from here?
Tell them who you are.
Yeah, I'm Chico the Don from Baltimore.
So how did you get into this line of work? How did this
Well,
happen?
I got into it when I went to Chicago back in probably like 94. And I linked up with Bishop Don Magic One, and
He was your mentor?
Yeah, he dropped me the jewels, man. I took to it like a fish out of water, man.
How old were you?
I was probably about, man, what was that?
Don't say 7, because that shit's
No,
illegal.
probably like 16, 17.
Still illegal, but okay.
You know, wanted to get some money. Fast.
There's a really good book by Donald Goins from
Yeah,
Detroit.
Orson. Come on, man, you down? What you talking about? You know what I'm talking read that book, you know?
She's a teacher. She's damn hiding flights.
Y'all was worried about me.
They had a little moment. We was left out. They had a moment.
That happened when I was locked up. I was locked up for some traffic stuff for 6 months in Baltimore, and you know it's hard to find people arrested for pimping in Baltimore. You know?
Right.
And when they looked at my record, it was like, oh, it was pimping or something. And it was a correctional officer. She was doing my paperwork, and I was sitting there like, yeah, I used to. She was like, well, you used to do this, and I was like, yeah, I was in Las Vegas, and then before I could say the street, she was like, you was on so-and-so street. I was like, yeah, you know. You know, she was like, I know about that street. I never knew why she knew about that street.
Right.
But it's like, it's just like, when people hear about the lifestyle sometimes, you'd be surprised that people actually came across the lifestyle in their past or ran into it, came across it, and didn't know if it was real. A lot of people think it was fake. It's fake.
Right.
And Chicago is one spot that the game ain't never died.
Right.
To be clear, I was not in Chicago on any,
Yeah, I know you wasn't.
So what was your method? Like, how would you convince the girls? Because that's always fascinating people. How do you get another person, grown woman, go out, lay with somebody, get money, and bring it back to you? How does somebody do that?
trade secret.
Yeah, it's a trade secret, but it's about basically you have an understanding with the young lady, and basically, I mean, if you can, it's the same way a record deal goes, same way as a boxing deal goes. If I can promise you I can get you $30,000-$40,000 within a lucrative time frame, and I'm letting you know what you got to do for it, but I got the plugs in doing it, then hey, the deal sounds better than what you got going on, you're going to roll with it. Same way if you was a fighter and you wanted a championship fight, and I know I can get you to fight, hey, this is what it costs. And that's just how the deal went. Every female want to be winning. And she got to get with a winner, you know what I'm saying? And if she know that you're winning, you're in a better predicament, you're in a better situation than her, then she won't sit there and listen to what you got to offer. You got to go ahead and show her that you can do it.
We can spend another hour. I got a million questions. That's another show.
How do you follow that up?
Yeah.
I have that book at home.
And you know why it was he don't know why the baby was called Whoreson.
Oh, Whoreson. Because
Yeah.
when she said it kind of fast, I actually read the book.
Oh, okay.
So I read down the Goins Iceberg Slim.
Yeah, Iceberg Slim, yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about for folks who watching don't know anything about it.
About the book?
Yeah, about the book.
Well, the book was about basically a prostitute, and she had a baby. She was a whore, and you know what I'm saying? She didn't really know who the baby father was, So basically, she was a prostitute in the game, And really, that's not how the game goes today. You ain't supposed to be out there having babies with tricks and stuff like that, but that's
Supposed
how
to protect yourself.
you're supposed to protect yourself. You know what I'm saying? But the book was definitely a good book. Iceberg Slim book was another good one. And Pimp and Ken from Pimp Stick to Pulpit. There's a couple good books out there.
Memoirs of a Geisha is one of my favorite.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I like
Is that about pimping?
That is
On the Asian level?
absolutely cultural way down.
And what you didn't know is, in the 90s, pimping was an era in the 90s where every rapper, every actor wanted to be a part of it. It was just an era that was going on that was so lucrative and so much being talked about that you had 3 6 Mafia want to bring out Pimp's, Hustle and Flow movie. Then you had Lil Jon running around. They running Grammy for that. Then you sing 3 6 Mafia, come out with their pimp music. Then Snoop Dogg got involved. I mean, it was basically
You had
just
Too Short,
Too
you had
Short
Pimp
involved.
C,
Pimp
yeah.
C.
Mhm.
It's like it was an era where everybody wanted to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because they seen that it was new to them. Just like when I went to LA for when they filmed Friday After Next. Ice Cube wasn't thinking about having a pimp in it or having Cat Williams to be no pimp. But when the character and the image came brought to the attention, man, let's do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's how look, it happened. You know.
Okay. All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Athena.
My name is Athena. I've been in education for about 18 years now. I've been working in a middle school for about 8 of those years. Similar to his profession, it's ruined my desire to have children.
Great segue. Love it. Great segue. Okay, cool.
And in her class, her son is required reading.
Yeah, we should make sure
Yeah.
we need that curriculum.
Okay, all right. Larry.
Okay. I'm Larry Lancaster, and I'm a stand-up comic. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Really?
Basically, yeah. Value City model, all that.
Where would we have seen your work?
I've done Apollo Theater, been at the major theaters in Baltimore, Murphy Fine Arts, the Lyric, what is it? Murphy Fine Arts, the Lyric, Meyerhoff. Been on TV countless times, done comic reviews, commercials for BET, all kinds of stuff. Stage plays, independent film, online radio. Used to do a menu cut on 92Q. Also did radio work for the Big Fat Morning Show, all kinds of stuff.
Okay. And he also has a show to come out live with the Live Wire show.
Resume is extensive.
Oh, while we're doing that, I have
Check
a
my
show
dossier.
too.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I co-host The Queen's Wine
Yeah.
Down with Tyra Hill and Keisha.
Yeah, all on WPD Network. So
WPD Network.
yeah, all right. All right, so just a little bit. I want to kind of get into a little bit of the Megyn Kelly situation. For those listeners who probably, for those people who probably hasn't, is you good over there? Okay.
Some of his former employees
Former employees. All
are
right.
checking in.
All right, so Megyn Kelly, obviously everybody knows that her show was canceled. She did make comments on another show talking about blackface for Halloween. She didn't really see a problem with it. She didn't. She was saying that it was normal. So not really kind of getting that. Then next thing you know, her show was canceled. So I guess my biggest question is, obviously, it was something she believed. It was her right to say what she said under the Amendment, rights. She had a right to say it. People happy about it, agree with it? No. But do you think she should have been condemned for what she actually felt to be true? Should her show have been canceled because of it? Like, what are your thoughts on, not so much the comment, but I mean, you can comment, but yeah, the result. Like, she should have had a right to. Do you think she should have had a right to say what she felt in her mind was true?
I think you have impact, and then you have, whenever you say something, you have impact, and then you have intent. And she's a 47-year-old lawyer, from what I understand. So I don't really think that one incident is what got her fired. I think it's a preponderance of all the things she said before. I think it's her Fox News background. I think the fact that she got into it with DL Hooker over racial issues. So this is nothing new. And she had low ratings. Basically what happens is you have freedom of speech, but there are consequences for the things you say. So you have the right to say whatever you want, but there's also, for every action, there's a reaction. And when you're representing a major conglomerate like NBC, they can't be tied to that, because then you have sponsors that you have to answer for. So you really don't have freedom of speech, especially when you're representing a company and they have sponsors that they have to answer to. And so whenever there's money involved and things can affect your bottom line, then yeah,
become a liability.
Right.
And they often say whoever loans you owns you. I like that saying always in my head because, like you said, you do have the freedom of speech as an individual. But when you are representing a major network, organization, program, any type of thing, you have to be very cautious of what you say because you do not just represent yourself at that time. You're representing the agency or the network or whomever you are linked to. So like you said, for every action, there's a reaction. So in a sense, she had to know that if they had to go with their sponsors or if they had to go with her, she is a liability and you can be replaced.
I also think with different professions, you get a different leeway, you get a different leverage. Like if you're a comedian, you're an artist, you're you can say certain things and get away with it. But when you're supposed to be a journalist, a mainstream journalist, then you have a responsibility. And you can't offend an entire race of people and think that's not going to come over without any consequences. It just doesn't.
Right. She should have learned her lesson from Ray Lewis and Arsenio Hall, because it all happened to him. She should have learned.
Yeah, Arsenio lost his show, I think, when he had
Mr. Farrakhan on the show. But then Ray Lewis lost from being the sports center guy when he said something slick about the Cole Kaepernick thing.
Oh, I didn't catch
That's
that.
why he was when he left.
Right, he was they cut the commentary.
They cut him with a bad habit, man. When they left him,
They go with the majority, whether the majority is right or whether the majority is wrong. And if you are going this way and everybody else is going that way, sorry, we got to go that way because that way is paying the bills.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's not always the majority. It's if the minority has enough power to impact, then they'll listen to that too. But I think that's another good point about the football. That's probably why the owners took the stance that they did because I think black people are 14% of the viewership, and so the majority, which is more than 14%, it doesn't like the protest, because it's an issue that doesn't impact them. So that's why the NFL can take the stance that they take. But they're still paying a price for it. I think it just takes longer.
Yeah, she should have just learned.
But for her to try to claim ignorance, it just doesn't jive.
Did she? I know I'm not familiar.
Yeah, she made an apology like the next day.
Should she apologize though?
But it was kind of like, yeah, she did. She said, "I'm sorry."
If you mean it.
She said,
apologize if you mean it.
She said, "I was sorry." She said, I said something that was wrong, and thank you for teaching me. She tried to take that high
Her
road.
publicist.
I just think it was at that point.
Real nice.
That coupled with the fact that they were talking about canceling this show in the first place, a lot of people were like, why is she still on? And I think the fact that they got rid of 2 black people to give her that job. They got rid of Al Roker and Tamron Hall. Tamron Hall quit because she didn't like her Fox News background coming over to NBC, and she actually quit the station. So it was a lot of other mitigating factors. So at some point, NBC starts to look racist. So they had to kind of like distance themselves from her. So and that was all politics as well.
And be clear, blackface is never okay. It is never okay. That is something that is stemmed in civil rights and discrimination and exploitation and all of that. It is making being black an entertainment type of thing in clubs where blacks weren't even allowed to go to see. So it's like, it's just a disrespect. It's a disrespect across the board, and whether you're doing it for likes, whether you're doing it for a movie, whether you're doing it for Halloween, it's just not right. It's just disrespectful, point blank and period. And you can apologize about it all day, but the damage is already done.
Yeah, and the problem is whenever one race of people tries to tell another race of people what should offend them, and you can't do that. So you don't have the place to tell someone else, especially a group of people, what historically offends them. You just can't do it. So I think, and that's the problem is that I honestly believe she didn't know the history, but that's still no excuse for her because you should have known it if you weighed in on it.
If she listened to Jay-Z's,
you're a journalist.
but
But she's a journalist, and she's presumably intelligent person. So it's like you can't really claim ignorance, and ignorance is just no defense of not knowing the law.
It's inferred that she knew that it was inappropriate because her whole comment was it wasn't offensive to my people, right? Like so she knew that there was an underlying offense to it. Words have power, right? And so I think what is, if you get people talking, especially if you get people talking, white people talking about their experiences with race and racism, and they will come up with, I even have that. I can talk about my childhood and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we did that. Like that was a part of my culture and I have to own that as part of like my education. And if I were to speak of it, people, I don't know how she said it. I'm actually not very familiar with the story, but it sounded like she was defending it and not coming from a position of like awareness, right? It sounds like she was saying something very ignorant.
Yeah, and that's the
but
thing.
it's okay
When she was saying it, you really didn't hear any malice in what she was saying. She wasn't being mean-spirited about it. It really was an ignorant statement, and it came from a place of, like, I don't really see
everybody
that.
does it, but it reminds me so much of like the Me Too movement, where like things are happening and like, but everybody does that, right? That's the point. Like that's, you're like so close to getting it. Like that's the point. Everyone does it. That's why it's institutionalized.
Do you think that we're more like talking about it now though? Because before it was kind of covered up. So do you think that a lot of these things are getting more conversations had?
Well, they have to, especially with the climate, and I think that's another reason why she got fired. The same thing with Roseanne, because the climate is just not good for race relations. And so people are kind of like, when history comes out, what side was out there? You know, 5 years, 10 years from now. The same thing with the Me Too movement, where it didn't matter what side of history you were on. It's like, what's fair is relative to who's in charge. So if the men that were in charge says it's okay to do this, then everybody kind of fell in line. Now that has shifted. The whole mentality of the Me Too movement and what's appropriate to do and say to a woman, especially when you're a man in power, has shifted. And I think what happens is, if you don't check yourself, then when society and history checks you, it's going to be super sensitive. Now you can't even ask a woman out on a date, which I don't believe. I think people make that as an excuse. But men try to say, you can't even say a woman looks nice now. You can't do it. No, you guys did what you wanted to do for a long time. You got, now it's going to the other side. It's just like with domestic violence. You can get into a shouting match with your girlfriend and go to jail, where she could be the aggressor. But what about all those years where men beat the hell out of a woman like Color Purple and do whatever they wanted to do, and the police would show up and be like, that's between a man and a woman. So of course it's always going to go to the other side. So it behooves people to kind of check themselves, because when it's done for you, it's always going to be heavy-handed.
Do you think she got scapegoated though? And I'm not trying to like play devil's advocate, but you have to remember Megyn Kelly's career in,
It was
NBC?
at Fox.
It was at Fox.
Right.
She was pivotal in bringing down Roger Ailes. I don't know if you remember this. So Roger Ailes was, he was getting accused of all this, like sexual assault, all this stuff, and she stayed silent. And everyone was like, what does Megyn Kelly have to say about this? She's pretty, she's blonde, she's vivacious.
Right.
How come she, if he's this bad, why hasn't Megyn Kelly said anything? And Megyn Kelly just refused to say nothing, because the assumption was she had something to say, she just wasn't saying it.
Right.
And in that move, then there was the Trump interview question that seemed to get her some fame, because again, it was sexist, and it was like holding him accountable for something that was sexist. And then she moved from Fox to something else as Roger Ailes was going under, right?
Well,
So
I mean, if that's
but I
the
think that they did that to sort of satisfy that situation, to create a new contract without necessarily having to break that. And then her ratings started to fail, and then now she says something that is offensive.
They're almost like they were waiting for something.
There's always going to be a scapegoat
she
to
said
take
it was
the fall
over.
for everyone. I mean, we can even go back, and I know this is such a hot topic with the whole Dr. Cosby, Bill Cosby scenario. Like, let's be real. There, and again, take this in the spirit that is given, is wrong across the board what he did. But he is not the only person, seated president or not, who has done things disrespectfully or controlling of a woman, but he took the hit.
I kind of disagree with the Cosby aspect of it, because he was drugging women
For sure.
and having sex with them.
For sure.
That's a little different than saying something inappropriate or even harassment. Like, not that it's all messed up. And I think those other guys their time may come. And that's the problem with when you start making it racial, is that
Oh, I don't think I'm talking about R. Kelly.
no, R. Kelly should be in jail.
But he is still cruising.
But I think what happens is when people feel like the punishment is not handed down evenly based on if you're black or if you're white. Now Cosby's been going through this for a long time, and he fought it. So the other allegations of these people have kind of just surfaced. So I think we got to kind of let time decide what happens to them. But it's almost like, you know, as black people or people who have a skepticism of the justice system, you kind of know minorities don't really get treated fairly. So it's almost like, all right, let's see what happened to these rich white dudes. Let's see if they had the same fate.
And that's true. That's true.
So it's like it's like we're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
But I think when you do the whole cabinet.
But Cosby's been doing this since the 60s, 70s. Like, he done ran out the clock. He had a lot of time.
Yeah, so
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're gonna switch gears a little bit. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there is an ongoing feud between 50 Cent and Ja Rule that's been going on for a long time.
He's still messing with that man. He already crushed him.
Oh yeah, no,
Did you buy 200 tickets?
yes. We're gonna discuss it when we come back, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
They never gave me nothing, so I had to go get it. I turned it into something. Put paper in my pockets. I made myself a plug. I made myself a plug. So I'm coming for the money like I sent the invoice. Said I'm coming for the hundreds like I never had a choice. To the homes in the hills and I got a mean whip. Cause you know I got the drive and I never need a lift. Always getting paid but never sticking to the script. Always getting buckets, never thinking about the miss. Got my foot on the pedal, I'm just thinking about the win. So I turned into the plug like the phone on 5%. I made myself a plug. I made myself a plug. Yeah.
Larry, remember, move back, Athena, move in.
Right.
Real comfortable.
All right. Well, -1.
Empty glass.
Pimp got a call. Had to bounce.
A distress call.
Yeah. Even though he retired, he like mentoring other pimps.
That was part of
He
the
had his
package.
mentee pimp called him, so he had to go and give him advice.
All right, so we're gonna kind of switch gears a little bit. I know we got to kind of a little deep, but recently, well, I guess this has been ongoing between 50 Cent and Ja Rule. And lately, Ja Rule has a show coming up. I can't remember if it was in New York. It was went this weekend. And 50 Cent bought 200 tickets in the front rows so that it would look like there was nobody there. Yeah.
Right.
So, and he tweeted this. So, I guess my question is, when does stuff just die? Because this has just been ongoing. Like, when is petty?
Well, 50 Cent made his career on Ja Rule. To be honest, like he came in the gate on Ja Rule. But my thing is, as an artist, if you buy 200 tickets,
You helped me.
who cares?
still-
Thank you.
then I would have let people in for free because the ticket's
But
already
it's
purchased.
fun to be petty. I
Right.
mean,
And I was reading the comments because I am a comment troller.
Right, but
I wanted to see like what people were saying, and that's what people were saying. Okay, but he still wins in the end. So yeah, you may have a front row of empty seats, but that money was still the same whether it was
And who's
there or
right?
not.
And really, I would have told everybody, hey guys, move up. You know, but
move up.
He wasn't allowing anybody to move.
right.
And he was having people make
If
sure
you
that
saw
those
this
students.
concert,
Right.
Yeah, I
actually
saw it.
empty seats. Right?
50 posted the picture.
Yeah. Right, he
Like,
wasn't
that's
allowed.
like a great opportunity
And
to be like,
Photoshop itself
one,
in there.
be like, I don't give a fuck.
Right,
I'm just
right,
gonna
right.
find
I love it.
and I'm gonna do it.
I love it.
Like,
Right.
it's like, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah, that-
I mean, they could be shooting at each other and killing each other. So I mean,
I don't
like-
think that's the only option.
No. What I'm saying is that that seems to be the option that hip hop is going
Yeah,
these
yeah,
days.
yeah.
So for them, it's almost like it's like when comedians come at each other.
Right.
You know, like it's for laughs. No one's getting
But it does
hurt.
get serious, even with comedy.
I'm sure
But
it
that's
does.
still like a ballsy move, and it's like, how do you handle this? It takes another pair
I mean, he and
of
Floyd
balls.
Mayweather
Yeah,
went
50
back and forth, and
50
then that
is just
goes
one of
around.
those guys that you
It's
just
like
like,
nobody there.
you just don't want it, because you know how you got the saying, kill your dog, I'm gonna slay your cat. He's like, no, I'm gonna kill your mother. Like, he takes it to a whole nother level. And it's just like, of course, when you had the money to kind of back up any crazy thought that you, because who would think of that? I'm gonna buy 200 tickets
What else
to this
has he
guy's
done? What else have they
concert.
done to each other?
He just
Or
doesn't.
it's just a feud that we know
just a-
about.
Yeah, it's been
So
going
like
since
with
50's career.
Floyd, it was always making fun of the fact that Floyd is illiterate. You
But
know,
they were
like,
friends,
They
though.
were friends, right?
They were boys.
Then it just
So it's
kinda
like when you
tit for
get
tat
when you
type
get
of
inside
thing.
information. So as far as I know, he and Ja Rule never were friends. but
Right.
He and Floyd kind of had this love-hate relationship. And I was looking at an interview with Floyd, and he was kind of saying that Floyd he doesn't like people standing up to him, and so 50's one of the few people that probably could stand up to him.
Right.
As far as the money and the status and all the other things, and is not afraid of Floyd. And so Floyd probably is a bully. He probably has a Napoleon complex. I don't know him well or whatever, but just based on a lot of the things that he does, again, driven by your own insecurity. And he's been wildly successful. He's the best at the game. And you would think that when you're that competent at something, that it would give you confidence in other areas, but it doesn't always do that.
Sure. Because you're always being challenged. You think about that. Whenever you're at the top of your game, there's always somebody that's striving to knock you down. So it's like you're always on guard. Do you ever really get to enjoy being successful? Because you feel like.
But I
there's
think
always
once you have, it's like a catch-22. It's like when you can do that, then you're not going to push yourself to be great. When you kind of can relax and say, hey, I'm at the top now. So it's like you're always driven by something. And a lot of times it's yourself. So those people are maniacal. Like Floyd gets up 5 o'clock in the morning and runs 7 to 10 miles for a guy that everyone to say he'll beat. Because he's so insecure and has that fear of losing, and he wants to be so great. That's what motivates him, because he knows what happens if he doesn't.
Do you think it's fear that motivates him now, or you don't think it's just he's naturally, like he's just motivated to be great?
I think because he's already great. So once you're great, what keeps you at that level? It's fear of falling. It's fear of slipping. It's fear of the writers. It's fear of all the people who want to see him lose. It's fear of all the people who want to say, I don't like him anyway. He's too cocky, he's too confident. He needs his ass kicked. And so you always, you got people who are like that, but then they don't do the work. And then you have people who are like that and they do the work. So once you do the work, it's like, yeah, I can talk trash because I've already done the work. I know what the outcome is going to be because I prepared myself.
So why do you think that feud is among the black community?
I think it's just another example of black on black crime to me. Because, and it's not that white people always get along, they just don't beef publicly. Like even with the Kevin Hart and Cat Williams thing, I'm sure there are comics who don't like each other. Comics who say, he stole my joke or whatever. But you have to kind of be in the inner circle to know that. They don't go public with it. And that just disturbs me with our people, that we always have these spats and these disagreements in public when it's certain things should stay in the barbershop.
You brought up the whole with the comedians. the whole Tiffany Haddish and Cat Williams
Right.
situation. Like, a lot of folks were saying he should have been, applauding her, like, congratulations, welcome, but instead they felt like he took the stance of, well, you didn't really do anything to get here, but then
Right.
of course he backed it up and said, no,
And that's
that's
the
not
other
what
thing,
I
like,
meant.
that kind of made it worse because if you really meant it, why not stand by it? Why backtrack? But again, that's personal stuff between people who are much richer than I am, and it's just, that's
Love your
their business.
history.
You know what I mean? But I just don't like when black people kind of beef in public.
Well, they say that about Baltimore all the time, crabs in a barrel.
But they're not from Baltimore.
Right, no, but I'm just bringing it more and bringing it home, like how it is here, where we have, especially in the music industry, I always tell folks, get out of here, don't stay here, because what ends up happening is that the people target you, and you get gunned down before you're even able to really reach your full potential, because folks don't mind seeing you succeeding until you've succeeded past them. And then now it's a problem. And it's not just the music industry. I've seen it all across. As an event manager, I get into a lot of different circles, and I see it all the time. And it's like, why can't you just support? Why are you not clapping? Like, why can't you just encourage me? Because at a certain point, that gets me to a level where I can reach back and bring you up with me.
I think it's really, my perception is with an industry like that, and you guys are more closely aligned to that. When you're in an industry that is reliant on superficiality, right? It is kind of hard to dig deep within yourself because you are constantly putting on a shell to present yourself a real way.
Right.
And it's like, it is refreshing when we get someone who is at a level even famous where it's like, oh my God, this person's real, and it's like, or at least they give the perception that they're real, right?
Yeah,
and so they're loved, and they're really loved, and they're
right. And I think that's the part that a lot of, particularly the rappers, miss.
Yeah.
Because it's founded on this bravado and the gang culture, the drug culture, the gun culture. Now I'm saying rap, not hip hop, because those are two different things. So a lot of the rappers, if you're saying about I sold drugs and I did this in my lyrics, and then you happen to get gunned down, and then there's the other thing that I don't like a lot of the rappers do. They try to say, well, that's just entertainment. Is it really? Because the lines have gotten blurred somewhere, where it's almost like if you're just entertaining and you're using that lifestyle and you're not real, then other rappers come and they fact check you and they G check you and they like, you ain't never killed nobody. I didn't know that was a prerequisite for being a rapper. When did that happen? Where I had to actually kill somebody, go to jail, and sell drugs in order for me to be legitimate? Why can't it just be based on my lyrics? So it's not just based on entertainment value. Somewhere along the line, it became real, and the two are like, it's like if you're not really about that life, but you're rapping about it, then people criticize you. So when some of these young cats get shot down in the street, it's like life imitates art and art imitates life. But if you're talking about, you're never really seen a conscious rapper. Like, I don't think somebody is going to shoot a speech from Arrested Development. Because he doesn't, I don't think that's going to happen.
I beg to differ, because I do know a young rap artist here in Baltimore who is on the rise. And there is a fear for his life, only because of the fact that people just don't want to see other people succeed.
Who's a rapper?
The rap, Lil Key. His lyrics are clean. He's very alone.
Well, who started him?
But it's just amongst that culture, amongst that age bracket, the conversations, even if you look through like comments and things, it's hating and all this other kind of stuff, because this young man has chosen to be positive in his life. He doesn't cuss in his raps. He doesn't threaten anybody in his raps. He's culturally awoke in his raps. He talks about things that are going on in his life. And then you read like some of the comments sometimes, especially like when he was on the rap game and things like that. It was like, what? And things like that. Not that anybody's rolling up on him, praise be to God, because he's covered, but rolling up on him and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna shoot you dead. But there's hate. And where there's hate festers into other things.
It's an
unfortunate thing.
Sometimes when you don't acknowledge the hate, and because you're gonna always have people who do that, no matter what you do. Like we had an Olympic gold medalist, the girls in the Olympics, proud of the country. You had women other black women, they need to do their damn hair. So you're gonna always have people say something about whatever you're doing. You don't have to give that energy. You understand what I'm saying? But when you give it energy and you're putting out that negative energy and the energy comes back, you really can't say a whole lot.
Right, but
So for little
sometimes folks,
because I've had that, like in my experience, I know there are people who probably he ain't funny, I saw him, but for my experience, most of the time I get love. People who see me in the street and they, oh, I saw you, it's always real positive, and it's all, so I can't really speak to the negativity, like I know it's there. I've done shows where the audience wanted to sit back, like that just made me work that much harder at pulling that laugh from. It made me a better performer. People are not always gonna fall back and lay back and be like, oh, you're the greatest thing, and that sometimes that going through that, it makes you sharpen your knife. It makes you better.
Oh,
because when you
for
come from a
sure.
town like this where people are nonchalant and they just want to sit back, it makes you aggressive and you have to attack them and get the laugh from them. So when I go to a club and people just ready to laugh, that's a piece of cake. So it actually trains you and makes you a better
You
performer.
definitely have to be very cognizant of those folks that are quiet. You have to be even more cognizant of the folks that are laughing and loving you up in your face, and on the back note. And then there are folks that will go quietly into the night and don't give them any attention. But then there are folks that will take it to the next level. Oh, I didn't get you on that comment? Oh, okay, well how about I roll up to one of your performances and help you? Oh, I didn't get you then? Okay, so why don't I just do this? So it's just unfortunate that people think that that's okay.
It's middle school. Wow, it sounds like what I do.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I was
here we
going. That's
are,
what I was
back
going to
in
ask.
your
Yeah,
classroom.
that's what I was going to ask. It starts with you. I mean, they see what we do.
Well,
they
and
just
so that
imitate
means it starts with the adults.
Right.
I think
So-
I think sometimes it's the opposite a little bit. I think we don't teach people, and I think it's I think you have it as a parent, as an adult, you have to teach children how to first love yourselves and then how to love other people and what that looks like. And I think that I tell the students all the time, people who genuinely love themselves or are happy with themselves don't go out of their way to make other people feel bad. So if someone is coming after you, pay attention to what they're coming after you for, because it is what they don't like about themselves.
Right.
And so that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to internalize, even as an adult. That they're coming after me not because of me, but because of what's going on inside themselves. And then and as you more embrace that into yourself, then you just go, I don't care what's going on, what's coming at me, because that really doesn't have anything to do with me. That has everything to do with them.
Right. And you don't have to give that energy. And I think we spend so much, we got caught up in this culture where if you don't have 10 haters by next year, you ain't doing, like that ridiculous culture where that was a sign of success. The more haters you had. And that's ridiculous. Like, that's a ridiculous thing to strive for. I get it. Try to take something that's negative and turn it into a positive, but sometimes we go too far with that.
If you got haters because you're doing the right thing, then power to you.
Right.
If you got haters because you're being petty and buying 200 tickets, I mean, more power to you. But
And you shouldn't allow that to be the threshold that you.
Right. Like, you could have donated that money to charity. You could have done something good with that money. You could have kept a rape crisis center open. You could have helped out some inner city schools. Not saying that he doesn't, but you could have took that 200 if you already doing it and added that to the pot. Right. So you're using your money and your power to bring down another black man. Like, wow.
You're creating, if you're to call it a war of attrition, you just keep going at it and going at it.
And our young
I
folks
think
are
it's gonna
front
suck.
row and center to this. And so when they look up to the 50s, and they look up to the Floyds,
The housewives
and
of
they look
this
up
and
to
the
them,
housewives
and this
of
is
that.
the personality, and this is how they're treating other folks, then we can't be surprised when they're doing, I see it all the time. Like, I monitor my 14-year-old's Instagram, and just looking at these teenagers' posts, I'm just like, where your mama at? But then when you follow their mama,
Right.
and then you see, and you're like, oh.
That's not always
I
the
get
case. It's a misconception. I mean, okay, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. We all know that. Like, we all have it in our own families. But I mean, sometimes I'm so surprised at how they carry themselves, because they're trying out this idea of what power is. They're practicing and they're trying it out, right? So they're playing things that are familiar to them. They're modeling things that are familiar to them. And when I call and tell their parents what they're doing, they're like, my child was not raised to do that. I'm coming up right now. You know, and so it's like one of
some
these.
parents don't even get
Some.
that they are modeling the behaviors. And like, I have a 1-year-old, and when you don't think that they're paying attention to you, that's when they're really paying attention to you. So you have to, like, if you having these phone conversations with your good girlfriend, you like, "Bitch," you know, like all of that. Don't be surprised if you hear your daughter behind closed doors talking about, "Guess what happened today?" You know, that type of thing. So you just have to be very, very careful, especially with the young ones. They're sponges, and the older ones that they're finding their identity. And so they are trying on, just like different coats. They try on.
But I'll say this: our parents cursed in front of us. They did all
But
the
they also
grown
backed
folks
it up
things,
with some stuff.
But we inherently knew that wasn't for us. Now those lines are blurred, and so like when we grew up, I guess for lack of a better word, our parents could have been classified as hypocrites because they did all the stuff and did all the things they told us not to do. But we still had enough common sense not to do them. You know, just because I heard my mom cussing on the phone, I knew I couldn't go and do that. Now, what I did amongst my friends, that was one thing. But when I saw other adults, I knew to check them.
And that's what's gone.
And so it's gone. But a lot of that has to do with us because the kids don't really see honorable, respectable adults to the degree that they should. So then when they become disrespectful, we're like, the kids are so disrespectful, but that's our fault. Right. And so you kind of mitigate that by being an honorable, respectable adult, showing up every day, being consistent, being fair, firm, and impartial, and pouring into them, and eventually they like, okay, this is what it should be like, and then you can kind of redirect their hate.
And being an adult sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And it's like we have a culture where we don't want to grow up, and so we want to continually be irresponsible. We don't want to be the person who apologizes. We don't want to resolve a conflict with a colleague because we don't want to have that thing. So we teach all of those things to the kids because we don't ourselves know how to do it as adults. If you can't teach a child to do something that you yourself don't practice.
Because they look at you and then it destroys your credibility. It gives them an excuse not to listen.
It doesn't matter what you say; they're going to do what you do.
And be clear, I am not naive to the fact that my 14-year-old is probably throwing down them words when she's amongst her peers. You know, like I'm not naive to that fact, but I do know that in the presence of adults and with me, she knows, your place. Your children have their place, and I bet not.
But getting back to the 50 thing, I just think we're living in a culture of mean spirited. It's like we see it in all these reality shows where the women are throwing drinks in each other's faces and all this kind of stuff, and it's really prevalent in our society. And of course, you go back to the White House, you go back to the politics, and see how right. And so it's like if these people are successful, then why can't I be?
Okay. All right, so we're gonna give final thoughts, and then we're gonna kind of wrap up. So, final thoughts of everything that was discussed today.
America, we got to do better. We got to do better. We got to stop looking to other folks to be our moral compasses, and we have to start finding that within ourselves because it's very relevant. It's very clear that it has to start at home. I know that's a cliche, but I think that that's the truth of it because if you can't look to the White House, if you can't look to celebrities, if you can't look, then you have to look within. And somewhere we have to really truly define what makes America great again and then put the plan together and achieve it. That's my final thoughts.
All right.
You got thoughts?
Good.
I was hoping you were going to be funny, so.
You got that heavy side. The same what you said about the comedian when we were off air, and like how some folks always look for you to be funny.
Yeah, and a lot of times people expect you to be funny, especially when you're doing conversations like this. And I just think that funny should be a natural thing. Like you should be conversationally funny. Like if you ever been around anybody who goes out of their way to be funny, and a lot of times comedians make the mistake of thinking, well, if I'm not being funny, then I'm not contributing to the conversation. And I think if you educate yourself and you're versed in the topic, you have other opinions other than being funny. That's just one facet of who you are as a person. So although I am a comedian, that's not who I am as a person. It's just what I do. So I don't feel the pressure to always be funny. I think I'm very funny, but I can have a realistic social conversation about different things and not always have to insert humor and potentially be inappropriate.
I just think, like I said before, I think people who love themselves aren't people who harm other people. So I think just making sure that you have self-love and teaching self-love, and then everything else sort of just falls in place. How you teach children, how you interact with other people, what you expect of other people. I think that you're more forgiving when you are forgiving of yourself, and when you love yourself, you give more because so take care of yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. So
yeah, kids are watching. Right?
The kids are watching.
Good advice, ladies.
All right, hey, before y'all go, give y'all stuff again.
Stuff.
Instagram, whatever.
Oh, social media.
So you can find me at rsvpem.ceo and rsvpem Instagram. Both Instagram.
You can find me at Comedian Larry Lancaster on all my social media. If you want to book me, you can go to JK Management.
Oh, we got management.
Yeah, JR, what is it? JR King 118 at Gmail, and I can give out a phone number on a TV show, but I don't want to do
Book him so you can get the comedic side of him.
Yeah, you can just reach me on Comedian Larry Lancaster on all my social media. I do respond back.
If you want some more books to read,
Pull aside.
Yeah.
At the top of the bestsellers list.
All right, so you can also catch Ronda Cox every Sunday
Sunday
at
5 p.m. on
For the Queen.
WPBMedianetworks.com. Queens Wine Down with Tyra Hill and Keish.
Yeah.
They get drunk and talk trash.
We do not get drunk.
That's
We
why it's
sip
called
wine
Wine Down.
and we talk about things that are affecting
They get
America.
drunk and get silly. They get it. I see it. Oh, it's a great show. I'm just kidding.
And also premiering is the Live Wire show with Larry Lancaster, Ray Diva, and Henry Jones.
Henry Jones. Yes.
So if you want some comedy, some
I
talk,
promise I'll be funny on this.
some baby drops, that's the place to go. So that's going to be premiering this week, so make sure you look out for it.
And if you're looking for Chico the Don, he will not be on any corners. He has given up the lifestyle, but you can still follow him at Chico the Don on Instagram.
Right. All right, and you can catch us here every Monday. We're going to have a new set of suspects with us.
Yes.
Starting at 7 p.m. right here. So make sure you tune in. And we also have a lot of other shows on demand. Just go to WPB Media Networks. All right, y'all. Have a great night.